Hey everyone, Wonton back to bring another One Piece tournament match, this time featuring Smoker versus Ivankov. I won the high roll, so I opted to go second as smokers like to do, but I did debate for a long time because Ivankov's also really want to go first, and I was wondering if I should deny him that or not. Just because they don't want the extra card in hand, they want to dump their hand as quickly as possible to start utilizing Ivankov's leader ability. Ivankov's game plan against Navy is to definitely try to knock him out before we reach late game. Because Ivankov can go wide so quickly, it almost feels like an aggro deck sometimes. Sometimes you're just able to out-tempo and overwhelm your opponents before they even really get a chance to settle their feet and stabilize. And so, especially against Navy, where Ivankov does not hold up very well in the late game, because Sakazuki and Kuzan, they can KO pretty much any of the characters in his deck. So no fancy plays so far, just playing on Curve, Borsellino, and Crocodile. Very standard plays for both decks. I drop Smoker here. I think Smoker is a very strong card, especially against aggressive decks, since I find that aggressive decks don't tend to have the counters in hand to stop a Smoker double attack, and so it's a good way of pressuring them. And especially a deck like Ivankov, where they're gonna be pretty much stuck at two cards in hand for a majority of the game, and so it's very easy to calculate and land that Smoker double attack. Ivankov is the heart and soul of this deck. Ivankov on curve into a Luffy into bouncing back one of your characters is such a huge tempo swing that it can sometimes outright just win you the game right there, because you'll just be playing catch up for the rest of the game. But Inazuma is a pretty strong character as well. It synergizes very well with this deck and what it's trying to do. When we mulligan, we were looking for the 10 drop Kuzan, which we did get, and so the game plan here was to survive until turn 10, where we can just drop them and try to manage the enemy board as best we can, just so that Kuzan can come down to a relatively safe board state. So we got rid of a blocker, and then we just walled up with Borsellino and 2 active Dawn. I was okay using the Smoker to swing there because I wasn't too afraid of losing him. I had counters in my hand. I have 2 blockers as well as the Shockwave. And he doesn't even try to go for character Smoker here. He understands that he's on a clock as well, that he needs to get me low enough that I cannot safely drop Kuzan without threat of dying. And so he's just aggressively swinging face, and as a result, we're going to be aggressively countering out and using our blockers to make sure that we try to maintain a healthy life total. We were able to ward off his attack, and now he just loads up the board with some strong blockers, preparing for my turn 10 and the possibility of 10 drop Kuzan coming down. Here we're just trying to thin the board and his hand a little bit before we drop Kuzan. And with Kuzan down on the board, it is now a very dangerous situation for him, since Kuzan's persistent ability of minusing 5 cost to all of his characters, and in combination with the fact that most of his characters are going to be 5 cost or less, with the exception of Luffy and Ivankov, it does make it very easy to use my removal cards like Kobe or Meteor Volcano, and it's very easy now for me to activate my leader's ability as well. Galdino is great in situations like this where he needs to put up a blocker, but also needs to pressure his opponent. He works a lot like 7 cost Kid, where you can restand him by discarding a card at the end of your turn. I didn't want to use the blockers at first because he still had a lot of attacks and a full set of Dawn there. But now that he's at his 3rd attack, I feel more comfortable blocking with one of the Borsalinos. And in hindsight, I probably should have blocked with the other one as well, just because he does punish me here by dropping the Ivankov into Luffy and bouncing back the active Borsalino. And so I might have been able to prevent taking a life there. And these huge tempo swings in the mid game are what make Ivankov so strong, because at the beginning of this turn, we both had more or less an evenly matched board, but at the end of the turn here, we're down to 2 characters, albeit one of them is a 10-drop Kuzan. And we really have our work cut out for ourselves here. But with Kuzan on the board and ready to attack, we do have a lot more possibilities in our hand, because Kuzan minuses 5 on all of its characters, and so it enables a lot of our cards. So first we swing with Kuzan here at the Ivankov, and so he's either going to have to give that up or trade one of his blockers. And because Ivankov is always usually down to around 1 to 2 cards, it is easy to calculate whether an attack is going to hit or not. So here we hit him in the face because there's nothing else to hit, just pressure him a little bit. And the Smoker attack, he has to block because it's a double attack because of Kuzan. Then we use the 2 Meteor Volcanoes in our hand to just wipe out the rest of the board, and he's left with a single Inazuma. And that turn should demonstrate how important Kuzan is to this deck. He really elevates the deck to another level and just allows it to pop off and have crazy swing turns like that. And so this is where I commit a fatal misplay. I should have blocked this upcoming attack with Borsalino and kept myself up at 2 life, because at 2 life he guaranteed cannot kill me next turn because blue does not have any rushers, and this is gonna come back to bite me in a couple turns. Mihawk was a good play in this situation because he is still relatively healthy. He has a blocker up as well, and it removes a lot of pressure in Smoker, and at the same time represents a lot of pressure himself because he is a 9,000 body. And again, you can see the power of Kuzan, where if you already have 1 on the board, the second one will knock out anything else, including a 9-cost Mihawk. And because we didn't block with the Borsalino earlier and we took that 1 extra life, bringing us down to 1, it gave him a single out here. There was no way he was surviving the next turn, and so he just went for game here. He bounced back my Borsalino, leaving me wide open, and swings with 2 9,000 hits, and I had exactly 9,000 counter in my hand, and so I wasn't able to stop that second attack. Maybe hindsight's 2020, but that is something I probably should have considered before taking that life. But my opponent played it very well. He recognized his outs and he went for it, and he managed to seal the victory. And that's it for me, everyone. Thanks for watching. If you guys like this type of content, please consider liking and subscribing. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.